Just enjoy the view for a moment. Notice the contrasts of the areas of the hill that are in shadow and the areas that are in sunlight. And just sit with how does that feel when you look at the shadowed areas and the lit areas. Try and do it without judgment, but just internalize how that feels. Anyway, something else that's sort of come out this area I'm clearing near the top of the hill. Almost got like your three crosses here, your past, present and future, and it is the middle one that the levelled area is being created. So we'll just walk back up there. It's a nice, easy little path, not too steep, just wide enough, leaving nature either side. So we made a bit of progress here, started putting in, probably be flower beds and things eventually, to sort of level areas, just sorting out the ground with a ballast that I'm sort of digging out. This morning was spent putting the head back on this pole for breaking up this harder sort of clay soil. Anyway, we'll get to the point of the video proper now. It's something I've spoken about before, but I feel it needs reiterating again. This follows on from the whole thing about time travel and the fluidity of it, and it's not you physically travelling to somewhere, it is the drawing of something to you. Now, I've spoken about this on using your imagination, drawing on past experiences, and then just finding a feather. And use your imagination, you see the feather, you pick it up, you feel it, you make it feel as real as if it's already happened, you impress it upon yourself. The subconscious knows no difference between reality and just creation in thought, and it will deliver exactly what matches the frequency that you're putting out. Neville Goddard talks about this, and it's what you impress upon yourself. You're reprogramming yourself, you're remembering yourself, creating new neural pathways inside yourself, coming to a new understanding with this reality. So let's give you I'm sure I've spoken about this before, maybe about 2 years ago, but I feel it is worth going over. It's not that any of you cannot manifest and that you do not have the ability to manifest. There is no question of that. I say that because how many times have you got the very thing you didn't want to happen? Say you applied for a job and you were worrying and you were stressing over it, and then you got that letter or phone call that said you've been unsuccessful. But of course you can turn that round by impressing upon yourself the complete opposite and playing out the scene. You've had a phone call or a letter or some sort of communication that says congratulations, you have got the job, because okay, you may not have got it initially, but then the person that was selected for the job, for whatever reason, declines or is found to not be suitable, and you're next on the list. So you have the ability to turn it round. The system programs us to go very much in what Jason of Archaics talks about, the negative default programming, and it is so easy to fall into why is this happening to me, and why is the world against me, and that whole victim mindset, and sort of wallowing in that, which of course will just bring more of that, because that's where your attention is. As Lana A. Labonte says, where you are at is what you attract. Apologies if the wind is interfering with the speaker. I'm not going to be able to tell until I do a playback on this. So I'd like to give you a practical exercise in time travel. Now we can take something very, very ordinary. You can adapt this to suit your own circumstances, but say that weekly trip you do to the supermarket. We'll say that you drive there and then you've got to find a car parking space and you've got to get a shopping trolley. A lot of them these days, it requires a specific coin to go in to release the chain so you can use the thing. And then you've got the going in the store, possibly finding that the shelves have been rearranged so it's got different products, and so what you went in for is not where you thought it was going to be, and it's all changed, and then you may have massive queues or not at the tills. And then your journey home again. So I can't look at every individual case scenario with this. This is something for you to do for yourselves. So say for example that your shopping trip, you normally face it with dread and you can get stuck in traffic. Things just seem to go wrong. So what you do before you even go, in fact you could do this like when you wake up first thing in the morning. Plan your day out. So what you do, you remember the future. You play out the entire scene of going in your vehicle to the store, getting the groceries and things that you need, coming out and coming home. And now you're sitting at home, relaxing, and you put all the shopping away in the cupboards, and it's like, oh, that wasn't too bad. Just sitting with a nice cup of tea or coffee or whatever drink you prefer. And you just sort of, actually, that wasn't a bad experience. That went really well today. And if you play it out like this in your mind, you create this story, this picture in your mind. What you may begin to notice, the journey and everything, the building that you're going to, nothing whatsoever has changed. But what does change is the interaction you have with people. You may find that you go into the supermarket car park and straight away a space becomes available for you and you're able to go straight in. You may be walking towards the store, you've got a coin in your hand, somebody's come out the store, they're taking the trolley back to the trolley park, so you just give them the coin, or maybe you find one with a coin in it and you don't have to use a coin, so you'd be, say it's a £1 coin, you'd be £1 up after the journey, so that sort of helps subsidise part of the journey maybe. You go in the store, you find the things you want, you get to the tills, there is no hold up, everything goes smoothly, you get in your car, you have no hold ups going home, no carrier bags breaking, nothing leaking, everything just runs perfectly. It's nice weather, you can create as much as you want in the scene. You are the one that is creating and painting the story. And you play this out in your mind to the point where the subconscious feels that it's something that's happened. Now I can't explain how this works, but we're basically magnetic, and what happens is that frequency that you have created and put out and played out in your mind will now play out in the physical material. Now the less that you do that involves physical, so for example, if you're trying to manifest, I don't know, a castle, we'll just take an extreme, something that's pretty solid and heavy and huge stone blocks, that would take not impossible, but it would take an awful lot of energy between the metaphysical and the physical to create in this reality. So the more that you can create in your mind in the metaphysical, that is just purely interactions and not actually manifesting physical objects, but making your journey and your entire day far more tranquil, far more enjoyable, then that magic just seems to work, and it is a joy to watch unfold. It's something I've spoken about many times before. The world that you perceive with the physical eyes external of you looks absolutely identical. But by changing your frequency, you're drawing towards you a completely different variable, shall we say, that is painted on to this vaccine. You are creating the world around you. Does it not say in the Bible that God is closer than at hand? Does it also not say that it's omnipresent? Well, omni means one and present means here right now. So if God, or whatever you want to call it, the Creator, is closer than at hand, where could it be? It's not something physical, but if it's closer than at hand, therefore, it must be something that is within you. On the subject of the idea of NPCs, I mean, from my experience, there are those that seem to be on such a low vibration, it's almost like they may have a soul, but it's like it's been firewalled off. And they're very much part of that background scene. Maybe their spirit connection has been disconnected in some way. I'm sure you could speculate and work out for yourselves what that possibly could be. But we're in a realm of duality and a realm of contrast. So whilst there would be the illusion of a lot of negativity, which is all put in place for you to overcome and change the reality around you into something that is far more in balance, that effectively is the secret that is kept from humanity, this ability to create. But imagine if everybody did become aware of that ability with their self-serving mindsets, their narcissistic mindsets, their mindsets that would do things in ways that would be harmful to other living beings, including the earth itself. That would not be a good thing for all of humanity to have. So the whole idea of the selects, the elected or whatever, it really comes down to being open-minded enough and that thing called surrendering to oneself, where the way I've described it is, I'll be honest, the situation that I happen to be in at the moment I cannot solve, so I'm giving a virtual post-it note to the universe, and it's like, you created this, you solve it, because I know I can't, as I of myself can do nothing. And I have found that this does work. So I invite you, basically the same as what Neville Goddard says, test it for yourselves. See, there is nothing new under the sun. It's all been created. As I've described it, it's a diagnostic zone. It is a contained cube, basically. I'm sure many of you have heard of the squaring the circle. Well, effectively what we're doing is circling the square. Instead of having a little black cube that's stuck to your forehead, you're basically isolating into a cube that lower conscious problem-solving and the most negative aspects. It's not denying that they're there, because they are a part of you. It would be like, I don't like my arm, so I'm going to chop it off. They are part of something that makes up the individual you. The only thing that needs to be done with them is they need to be brought under control so the emotions do not take over and start running the show of the physical body. It's something that needs to be practiced over and over again, but I feel you'll find that it will become easier and easier to do. So now we'll end on a final note here, just to alert you to 3 audiobook readings I have made by Richard Wagner, German poet and composer and artist with such great vision. And he wrote a number of essays and writings and things outside of music, on the theatre, on politics and things. And let's just say that it goes a very long way into shining a mechanism of something that is effectively, shall we say, part of the computer game, the adversary at the end of the level. So there is a huge difference in recognizing what would be perceived as a control system and seeing it for what it is, rather than having hatred of it. So let's just put this into context. Imagine you're playing Mario and you're on that first level, and I think, if I remember right, there's a turtle, and if you jump on it, it disappears into the shell and shoots off, but it can come flying back. Are you going to get annoyed with a computer-generated image of a cartoon turtle? Are you going to hate it? Do you see how ridiculous the whole notion and what a waste of energy the hate would be? So when we talk of controllers of this reality, I would suggest that they are part of this matrix. And yeah, they're soulless because they're part of the AI. It's part of the testing. And if you sort of can decode a lot of these things that are presented in the media, the stories and things, there is an esoteric truth to them that sort of become twisted and come out in a very sort of negative way. But if you can break through those superficial levels, you can actually find that they're based on profound truths that just need unlocking inside oneself. Same with the power of creativity. You have the ability inside you. You know the limits, well, maybe you don't know the limits of your imagination. Let your imagination create, is what I say, and see what comes. But do try the shopping trip test on yourself. Plan the day out in your mind, play it out first, and then follow it up by the physical action on the world stage, and see how that play unfolds. See if it is a successful performance for you. Because I'm sure you'll get little signs, and you will start to see that, oh yeah, the thing that I dreaded, now I no longer dread. You have overcome a fear. So that's a little practical example of time travel as a practical activity that you can bring into this reality, into the now, just from creation in the mind. So I hope that will help some of you. I know it can be difficult out there at times, and life can seem a struggle. I face challenges, mostly because of the isolation and finding it difficult to generate an income. But that's my test, I suppose. It's what I've set myself, because I take responsibility for that. But do I feel anxious about it? Yes, there is a little bit there, I acknowledge that, but that's in that little black box. The Pandora's box that you keep sealed. You don't let it spill out and go into a panic. And then just watch, once the offered script of the negativity passes, it opens up to a fantastic, far more positive story. It's perfectly reflected when you look at the sky. You may have a cloud there, but it'll pass, and then you'll have beautiful blue skies again. It's just observing in the physical reality what nature is guiding us to. It's that lovely reminder of when the break broke about don't get above yourself, don't lose contact with Earth, stay grounded. So although I'm quite a high point with fantastic views. It's a lovely reminder that we are that centre point. We are hopefully on that neutral middle path, which therefore must be the joining and bringing of heaven upon earth as we enter into this new age. So I hope that has uplifted and inspired you in some way, and that just leaves for me to say, if anybody wants any counselling, someone to just listen, a sounding board, helping from an outside perspective, helping you with something you perceive in a problem, I'm available for that, and I'm not asking for anything really, just donations just to keep things ticking over. It's not just this channel that relies on donations and your support, it's my daily life, but I'm looking at ways to try and overcome that obstacle, because it's a challenge, but it's a challenge worth doing. And that saying about living the dream, that's basically what this is really all about. I'm here, I'm having an experience, so I want to have a good experience rather than a negative one, or going through an experience of life and looking back with a catalogue of regrets. So I'm going to say love to you all, and may that this video has inspired you in some way.